Alrighty, folks, we got another new album review for you today. I wish somebody would quit ordering these things. It's making it very difficult for me to compile my end of the year list. This one may come as a shock to you as much as it came to me. It's the new Opeth, The Last Will and Testament. I'll preface this review by saying that I am not an Opeth guy. I own Blackwater Park, and that's it. So that can tell you right there that if I only own one Opeth album, that they're not really my thing. As shocking as that may be to some people. I'm not a prog metal guy. I'm not a death metal growl guy. So Opeth has never really been my thing. I know that for the last 16 years or so, they've been going into away from the death metal growls, and I always said I wanted to give them a shot and see what their new direction sounded like, especially since it caused such a hullabaloo with everybody else, getting their feelings hurt that there was no more death metal growls in the new psychedelic prog direction, whichever direction they were going with all their new albums. So it's funny that I chose this one, since this is the return of the growling. But I heard a bunch of good reviews on it. Now, granted, I knew that these were people that loved Opeth or liked Opeth, but I saw 10 out of 10 reviews. I saw 5 out of 5 reviews. I saw people calling it a masterpiece. And after a couple of late night hottie toddies, maybe one too many, and watching the Pete Parter review, I think he gave it 5 out of 5. It pushed me over the edge, and I decided I'd dive back into Opeth and see where they were at. So, without any further ado, I'm just going to call these songs S1, S2, so on. It's a symbol. I've seen the symbol before, but I actually do not know what the symbol stands for, or is actually called. I may not know what it stands for either. So S1, it kind of starts off with this ethereal, almost cathedral sounding keyboards, kind of like a Garden of Unearthly Delights type keyboard, before getting into the growls. It kind of keeps those same keyboard type, cathedral type bouncy keyboards throughout the song. The drummer, his name is, I believe, Waltteri Väyrynen. That's about as close as I'm going to be able to get to that one. Formerly of Paradise Lost. I believe this is his first album with Opeth. The dude is obviously a Neil Peart drum worshiper. I mean, Neil Peart is all over this album. Sometimes it sounds like Waltteri isn't even playing the same song as everybody else, because he's got so much stuff going on back there on the kit. But he's obviously a very talented drummer. The song closes out, like I said, he goes into those keys, those bouncy keys again after the growls, and he gets back into the growls, and then it kind of closes out with these horns and strings. It's almost an epic type number that you might find in like a Conan the Barbarian type sword and sorcery movie. The second song, S2, kicks off with the growls again, and then it goes into the cleaner vocals, and there's a lot of, when the cleaner vocals are done here and the type of music that accompanies the cleaner vocals on here, it reminds me a lot of Masters of Reality. And then you get some spoken word, which I believe is Ian Anderson doing the spoken word. And it almost kind of sounds like the spoken word on the song Psalm 69 by Ministry. Before getting back into the growls to close out the song. S3 starts off with the Neil Peart drum worship and the cathedral type keyboards. It's got the clean vocals. Like I said, the clean vocals remind every time they come in, they remind me so much of Masters of Reality, Chris Goss. You get a good guitar solo in this song. S4, I wish I could read my own handwriting. But anyway, I see what I wrote that it all comes together on this one. You get a little bit of everything on this song. You get the Neil Peart drums, you get the Masters of Reality clean vocals, you get the cathedral keyboards, you get the growls, then the flute comes in, and that's Ian Anderson. I think he plays flute on a couple of songs on this one, but it's really prominent on this song. You get a cool guitar solo in this one, and then before you get back into the growls, the singing, it goes from the growls into the clean singing to close out the song, but the clean singing at the end of this song actually sounds closer to like maybe Faith No More type sound than Masters of Reality. S5, more Masters of Reality type intro, and then the growls come in. Waltteri is still putting on a Neil Peart clinic in this one. Then you get a weird little conga break in this thing before getting back into the growls, and then you get a layered clean and growls vocalization going on to close out the song. S6, lots of cool drumming. You get some we're getting some Emerson, Lake and Palmer type keyboards here. There's some more guitar soloing going on here. The vocals on this one remind me a lot of Blue Oyster Cult. And then there's some growls mixed in. And then about the last 2 minutes, you get some cool Pink Floyd type guitar noodling in the outro. S7's another one where you get a little bit of everything. There's some grandiose keyboards in here. There's even a little bit that almost like about a 30-second bit that sounds like a Beach Boys harmonizing. You get some more Ian Anderson spoken word in this one. And then the last song is called A Story Never Told. It's got a ELP type intro with a piano. It's got good strings all the way through it, good keyboards all the way through it. Got a cool guitar solo. And this one also ends with like a 2-minute guitar outro. So, with that all being said, what did I think of it? I better hold this up again so dang YouTube will give me a good thumbnail. All those stupid thumbnails that you see me using, I end up having to use those because no matter how long I hold this up, YouTube will give me 2 choices for my thumbnail of no album, and usually me staring off, or they give me 1 shot where I have a stupid look on my face, but it's the only shot that shows me holding the CD up. So I'm going to give this, prepare yourselves, a 7.5 out of 10. Like I said, I'm not a prog guy. I'm not a growl vocal guy. And this album has a lot of both. The growls don't really bother me on this album because they're kind of used as accents they don't really do anything for me. But they work most of the time in the parts that they're used. What really pulls me out of this album, and if you listen to me trying to explain what's going on in the songs and stuff, there's so much going on in the songs. It's almost like there's just like, oh, let's put a little Jethro Tull part here with a little Masters of Reality part here and a little Cathedral part here, and then we'll put some more Jethro Tull over here and some Beach Boys over here. And there's so many chord changes, so much different stuff going on that it really kind of, and some of it's like really jarring, that it kind of pulls you out of the song. You know, you can never get into a groove, and with the music, at least I can't. Now I know some people will say that that's a sign of Åkerfeldt's genius, and maybe it is. I'm definitely not a prog guy. Prog metal especially. So it, you know, you go from growls to hand claps to back into keyboards and drums, and then back into growls. It's just all over the place. And obviously it takes talent to come up with something this diverse, but it just is not up my alley. I would actually say I definitely like Blackwater Park better than this one, even though there's a lot more growls on Blackwater Park. It's much more cohesive sounding, in my opinion, than this one. This one is just there's so much going on, and it's all over the place. I mean, if you were to, there's 50 different musical styles on this CD, and as soon as I started getting into a part that I thought I really liked, I was like, oh, this is really grooving now. I would just abruptly change it to something completely different. So, take my review with a grain of salt. I'm not a prog metal guy, and this is definitely very proggy. I would say that the growls are secondary to the prog nature of this album, and it's very proggy. So for me, I'm gonna give it 7.5 out of 10. You guys give it a spin. Let's see what you think. Have a good one.